part 2 of this video. And this is an essay by Chris Hedges. The link will be below to the entire essay. The tantalizing illusions offered by our consumer culture, however, are vanishing for most citizens as we head towards the inevitable collapse. The ability of the corporate state to pacify the country by extending credit and providing cheap manufactured goods to the masses is vanishing. The jobs we are shedding are not coming back. And as White House economist Larry Summers tacitly acknowledges when he talks about a jobless recovery, the belief that democracy lies in the choice between competing brands and the accumulation of vast sums of personal wealth at the expense of others is exposed as a fraud. Freedom can no longer be conflated with the free market. The travails of the poor are rapidly becoming the travails of the middle class. And class warfare, once buried under the happy illusion that we're all going to enter an age of prosperity, and unfettered capitalism once again is returning with a vengeance. When a culture lives within an illusion, it perpetuates a state of permanent infantilism and childishness. As the gap widens between illusion and reality, as we suddenly grasp that it is our home that's being foreclosed and it's our job that's not coming back, we react like children. We scream and yell for a savior, someone who promises us revenge, moral renewal, and new glory. It's not a new story. A furious and sustained backlash by a betrayed and angry populace, one unprepared intellectually, emotionally, and psychologically for this, as Chris Hedges calls, collapse, will sweep aside the Democrats and most Republicans and will usher in an America which is a dark age. It was the economic collapse in Yugoslavia that gave Slobodan Milosevic his power. It was the Weimar Republic that vomited up Adolf Hitler after the economy collapsed. It was the breakdown of the Tsarist Russia that opened the door for Lenin and the Bolsheviks, and then later, of course, the Stalinists. A cabal of proto-fascists, misfits, from Christian demagogues to loudmouth talk show hosts, and I will name them. Chris Hedges doesn't, but I will name at least one, and that is Glenn Beck for sure, whom we naively dismiss as buffoons, will find a following with promises of revenge and moral renewal. And as in all totalitarian societies, those who do not pay attention to the illusions imposed by the state become outcasts, the persecuted. As the pressure mounts as despair and desperation reach into larger and larger segments of the populace, the mechanisms of corporate government control are being bolstered, not diminished, bolstered to prevent civil unrest and instability. The emergence of the corporate state always means the emergence of a security state. This is why Bush pushed the Patriot Act through. And this is why the Patriot Act is continued. And yet, even in the face of this impending calamity, mass culture continues to assure us that if we close our eyes, if we just visualize what we want, if we have faith in ourselves, if we tell God that we believe in miracles, if we tap into our inner strength, if we grasp that we are truly exceptional, if we focus on happiness, our lives will become harmonious and complete. This cultural retreat into illusion, whether peddled by positive psychologists, by Hollywood, or by Christian preachers, is magical thinking. It turns obviously worthless mortgages into wealth. And it turns the destruction of our manufacturing sector, obviously, into an opportunity for growth. And it turns a nation that wages illegal wars and administers offshore penal colonies, which continue to this day, where practices such as torture are openly embraced, into the greatest democracy on earth. So it keeps us from fighting back. So I have a small addendum here to Chris Hedges' essay, and please read it in its entirety because my conclusion is somewhat different from his, not altogether, but as far as this entire Tea Party movement is concerned now, and remember, it's not a party, it is a movement. It is pushing this country, in my opinion, into a proto-fascist direction. And I know enough about history to be able to make, I wouldn't call it judgment, but to be able to see what is happening. What perhaps turned out to be a grassroots effort or movement has been completely taken over. And unfortunately, you know, just like the good Germans, people will follow that movement to the end. So that's my warning to you. Good night.